In this video, we will be using IBM Cognos version 11.1.6 to analyze this Google Playstore dashboard I have designed. This data will ideally help an app designer understand how to approach making a successful app in regards to the target audience and the efficiency of production for the developer. My name is Thareq, and let's get down into the video. Here we have a comparison between the total amount of installs for paid apps and free apps. From the onset, we can see that the amount of installs for free apps is dominated by gaming apps with 2.3 trillion installs, and also communication apps with 1.48 trillion installs. So for the purpose of this inspection, we are going to filter gaming apps away from this chart so that we can have a more accurate grasp on the specific types of apps people download in the drill through. So if you can just bear with me. The purpose of this filter is so that we can see each individual app that people download, and we're going to completely remove gaming apps in the drill down. Okay, and that should hopefully work. Now we just need to wait for it. And now we need to drill down to see the specific apps. And hopefully this should work. Okay, and here we go. When looking at the amount of installs by category for the free apps now, we can see that communication category still has the most amount of installs. When further inspected, Google has a monopoly over the communication apps, and this is evidenced by Google Hangouts having 880 billion installs, closely followed by Google Photos, as well as Google Chrome, which we can hopefully see. Here we go. Therefore, it is not a good idea for programmers to reinvent the wheel by creating a similar app and hoping for the best. In general, all popular free apps enhance pre-existing features of Androids, as we can see over here. So features such as emails, browsing, and photography are already existing in the Android. And if a app developer wants to be successful, they should enhance apps which have not been fully enhanced yet, such as a calendar. So now we're going to remove the drill down and the filter, and hopefully we should go back to normal. Right, so we can see what we saw right at the beginning of the dashboard. And sometimes this does lag, so fingers crossed it works this time. And here we go. I'm actually really glad that this worked, because normally stuff goes wrong with my laptop. Okay, now we're just going to look at the average for both of these charts. And I believe it's this button over here. Here we go. In comparison to free apps, paid apps have much less net installs when looking at the average. So if this will let me, here we go, the average amount of installs for paid apps is 35 million, whilst the average amount of installs for free apps is 271 billion. So we're just going to remove the insights. And everything's back to normal. Okay. So when looking at the amount of installs for paid apps, we can see that personalization apps clearly has the most, with 160 million. So when we drill down to see the specific apps, so we can see if it's just one or two apps, or if it's a range of apps, which helps this personalization. Okay, and we can see that Beautiful Widgets Pro and HD Widgets are clearly the most influential apps for personalization, and these apps are centered around widgets, and both have 80 million installs. Therefore, If a app developer to create an app that is going to be paid, I would recommend centering it around widgets, because clearly that's what people are willing to pay for. But the more interesting fact is that Dr. Panda and Toto's Treehouse, which is a gaming app for children, and this is preschool we're looking at, have 12 million installs. So presumably parents are willing to pay for family-oriented games or games that offer education to children. And if you can now remove the drill down, we can go back to what it was originally. And there we go. When assessing free apps in the pie chart, we can see that the gaming industry is filled with readily established apps that make it hard for a new developer to break into. These apps all have multiple languages, making their reach more global. For example, Angry Birds has 720 billion installs, which is much more than the collective amount of installs for paid apps. Given how oversaturated the gaming market is, developers should turn their attention elsewhere, since the cost of developing and updating a game would be costly, creating a negative return on investment. Here we have an AI spiral chart which looks at the influencers for app rating. We can see that a combination of last updated and the size, the closest contingency for app rating. This means that AI has determined that a successful app needs to be constantly updated and compatible with the latest versions of Android to have the highest chance of a good app rating. The higher the amount of positive ratings makes apps rank organically higher, leading to more positive reviews. Finally, we're going to look at this word cloud to the right, and we can see the app rating by category. So service-based apps such as auto vehicles and fitness have the highest amount of ratings, with auto vehicles having 4.5 on average. Parenting and education also stick out to me as viable categories, since I believe the parenting community to be close-knit, leading to more reviews as they are willing to inform one another of their experience. And there is always a constant flow of students around the world, so there is always a market for these sorts of apps. Consequently, categories which are more niche and offer a service have a higher chance of success in regards to app rating. I hope you enjoyed this video.